Hey guys, Apoorva Pande here, and in this video we're going to talk about 8 and 9 figure hacks to grow your tech company. And it's going to go through this in the lens of 3 main categories of objections. One is the vehicle. This vehicle objection is usually, am I in the right place? A lot of people wonder if they have the right vehicle to get them to where they want to go. The second type of objection is the internal objection. Okay, they're not sure if they can do it. Maybe you're not sure that you can do it, maybe you're not sure if your team can do it. It's like an internal objection, okay? The last objection is an external objection to going to 8 or 9 figures and building a company that you want to build and have the impact that you want to have. Okay, an external objection is, that's stopping me, the market is stopping me, money is stopping me, I don't have enough time. External things are influencing my ability to make things happen. Okay, so we're going to go through how to overcome these things and the different books, meditations, tools, tricks, techniques, insights, beliefs that we have that we install in people's bodies, brains, so that way they can overcome the hurdles that pop up in every single startup training that there is. So if you're a tech founder doing over 500K a year, it's going to be amazing. If you're under 500K, I would watch this to prepare for when you are above 500K, when you're out of that, hey, can I pay for payroll kind of thing? And then you can grow your company past 10 million while being calm, like a lot of people in our program have done. Cheers. Enjoy the video.
Well, there's 3 steps really that we take now to refocus your brain. And this is 8 and 9 figure hacks generated, hundreds of millions of dollars in valuations. And so we're just going to take you through it here. Number 1 thing is getting over that first category of these doubts, which was the vehicle. Am I in the right place? Well, what's funny is you gotta put yourself in the right place. You gotta build an environment that allows you to really grow, to really achieve what you need to achieve. An environment allows you to be relentless. And I love this book by Tim Grover. He was the strength and mindset coach for Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, a lot of these guys. Maybe not LeBron, I think it was Dwayne Wade. But I'm just going to read a little excerpt from you so that way we can you can get a taste of what this is like. The word relentless is used in sports to describe the most intense competitors and achievers imaginable, those who stop at nothing to get to the end result. In sports, being relentless is measurable by victories and trophies and championships and rings. In real life, being relentless is a state of mind that can give you the strength to achieve, to survive, to overcome, to be strong when others are not. It means craving the end result so intensely that the work becomes irrelevant. Not just in sports, not just in business, but in everything you do. So we want to make sure you can create an environment of relentlessness to give yourself the strength to do what others can't. And once a lot of people get this strength, they're looking at the nuances of what is going to really unlock this growth in their companies. And there's 2 main books that I recommend for this. The first is Adrenaline Junkies and Template Zombies. Okay, this is one of the best books on culture. And culture is really creating the environment around you to propel you and your team to succeed at completely different levels. And so Adrenaline Junkies, Template Zombies, the 2 extremes of what you don't want in your environment. People that are hyper dramatic, people that are just same thing every week, every month, doing processes over really building something meaningful. The second book is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. I think he won a Nobel Prize for this. But in it, he talks about how there's 2 systems. System 1, which is that repetitive system, that is your habits, your routines, your processes, again and again and again, getting things done. And System 2, which actually changes your habits, your processes, etc. And so life is about a balance between System 1 and System 2, between Adrenaline Junkies and the Template Zombies. The happiness is in the medium path. And so we want to make sure that you're able to move towards that medium path consistently and condition yourself to identify when you're not going that direction, course correct back into where you need to go so you can serve your team, your market, your community at the highest level. And so that's a big unlock for that vehicle. It'll put you in the right place. So we want to make sure that you're able to get that. So that's the first level. The second category is that internal objection, right? Am I stopping myself from getting to that next level? And so for this, the transition we've seen work best for everybody is to go from a manager to an operator. Okay, and how can you do that? Well, it's understanding that great teams grow great companies, not individuals. When you're a manager, you're in hero mode. If something goes wrong, you either have to fix the thing yourself, or you have to train someone to fix the thing, because the people you hired at that level don't have the skills or expertise to be able to fix it themselves, to be able to build the systems that are going to propel the company forward to that next level of 8 figures and beyond. Okay? They get themselves out of the training, they get themselves out of the fixing, and they get that middle path where they find people that have built systems, that can do it on their own, that don't need the training, that don't need the babysitting, that don't have these internal beliefs themselves. The shifting to that is huge. And we found that the identity shift itself, the belief of great teams versus people, really changes the output of a business. And that's how you get to that 8-figure level. And man, I can't explain to you the difference in someone's demeanor and the way they carry themselves into meetings, into day-to-day life when they switch from being a manager versus an operator. It is completely different how they hold themselves, how they look at people, how they react to things, what they act on. It's a completely different manifestation of themselves. And so we want to make sure you can get there. Now, sometimes people can just say, I'm an operator, and they get there, but they usually have to know what that means. Other people have to sift through what's really holding them back. And so what usually holds them back is this cycle of burnout. They go too hard, and then they have not enough energy to keep going hard, and they kind of slow down, and they go too hard again. And so great operators prevent burnout, both in you and your companies. And so there's a couple things that we implement in companies immediately when they join, because it just unlocks a lot of the energy that's trapped in these cyclical patterns. Okay, so one is 7 days off every quarter. No laptop, ideally no phone. First 3 days you'll hate it. 4th, 5th day, you'll start feeling a little bit of drive, energy, curiosity again. By day 6 or 7, you're itching to get to work and not go back to work, itching to get to work on things that are important. The second one is have 90 to 365 days of personal and business cash flow in the bank. There's a great show called Undercover Billionaire. Premise is, if you haven't seen it, they take a billionaire, they strip him of everything, they give him a new haircut, they put him in a random town, and they say, okay, make $1 million company within 90 days. They're able to do so, and a lot of them are able to do so because the first thing they do is focus on how can I get enough cash or resources to last the 90 days so they can focus on their bigger goal. This calms that nervous system down a lot, gives you that safety, that certainty, the bottom layer of Maslow's hierarchy, so that way you're not jumping back down to it, because your body will give you your needs. And that safety and certainty is a need. No matter what your values, the needs will drive you forward. And so you need to give yourself what you need. That's why great operators prevent burnout. Then the third thing we do is we give some specific meditations for focus. There's many different kinds of meditation, things that increase creativity, things that increase drive, things that increase calmness. You need focus right now. You need to not let this internal objection overcome your relentlessness. And so there's a couple mental models that I have for focus that pairs with these meditations that allows you to get the most out of it. So what are these mental models? Number one, bull mind versus monkey mind. I saw Steve Jobs, I saw an article on Steve Jobs that talked about how he went to the Zen monastery, and when he was in South Bay area where he lived, and he would go there and he always talked about, I wake up with a monkey mind, and I gotta get myself into bull mind. And so monkey mind is the chatter, the questions, the doubt, the ideas, all this stuff always coming that the mind does. It's normal for the mind to do. It has activity, and you can listen into that activity, and that's where the thoughts come from. But then you have the bull mind, the one that keeps you going to where you're going no matter what, the one that allows you to walk calmly to your destination as you go through this journey of building this company and going faster and faster. And so bull mind versus monkey mind, huge. Identify what you're in, get yourself something that's going to shift you into bull mind. And it doesn't take a long time. It's not like 20, 30, 50 minutes meditations. You can do it in a minute. Most people don't know that. The next is lowering your cognitive load. If you have a lot of things to think about, it's going to cost a lot of your cognitive energy. Okay, your brain operates on a certain amount of chemicals. Right? It's not infinite. And so dopamine theory is a really good way to look at this. Dopamine is the chemical that makes effort feel good. We want to make sure effort is consistently felt good. You can lower the amount of dopamine requirements for your brain with certain things. And you can also replenish your dopamine in your system. Lastly is emotional management. Things that get in the way of things getting done. A lot of times it's just emotions. People don't know how to deal with them. If you're a founder or a high-performing operator, chances are you grew up in a little bit of a chaotic household. Otherwise, you would want like a regular repetitive job, right? You thrive on chaos sometimes. So managing that emotion is really key. And there's a somatic focus that you can go into it, which means feeling the emotion in your body, which increases your focus. And now there's a lot of advanced stuff there that if you are advanced enough, you message me or you comment below and I can show you guys that stuff. But out of the over 100 founders that are in our mastermind, like 3, maybe 4 of them really understand it, and it's pretty advanced. It's pretty frustrating if you don't have the prerequisites, so just ask me about that one. But I'm just going to give you links below for a Zen meditation, quick, getting you into the full mind, for replenishing dopamine, which is something called yoga nidra or non-sleep deep rest. And there's been a lot of studies in Stanford about this as well. And then so for somatic, because most of you aren't probably there yet, read The Big Leap and Upward Spiral. Big Leap is basically a book about how people operate at a certain level, and then when they get above that level, they'll knock themselves back down. Not because they're necessarily self-sabotaging, which a lot of therapists will start projecting on you, but it's because they're not used to feeling happy. They're not used to getting big wins consistently. And so the dopamine and all the happy hormones that you get from these big wins, if you're not used to them, you'll start shying away from them. You might have conditioned your body to get yourself away from them. And so the book is a lot about just like getting yourself used to having big wins emotionally. The other book is Upward Spiral. Phenomenal book. A lot of hostage negotiators, etc., use this book. And the premise of this book is a lot of times you will have emotions and you'll resist the emotions and they'll stay in your system. If you label the emotion, if you identify what emotion is, you can catch the downward spiral. And then your brain activity will go down and then about that emotion. And then you'll only have upward spirals from there. Don't make it your mission to finish every book you ever hear about, because as a founder, you'll get recommended so many. You might go crazy. Read the books that are appropriate for the bottleneck that you're solving right now. Start with the meditations, it's much faster. Get into the books if you want the nuances of it later. So that's how to shift out of that internal and start operating like a manager. The third thing we're going to go through is how do you not let the world stop you? Well, operators operationalize startups. Managers manage startups, right? So I want to give you a process for operationalizing startups to get to 8 figures and 9 figures. And so whenever I talk about operationalizing, most people don't understand what it is. They think it's a bunch of boring, spreadsheets and looking at stuff. And sometimes it is, but there's a core fundamental thing that makes Silicon Valley companies different than most companies. Okay, and it's a process called growth. It's not a very creative name, but it's called growth. Okay, and what growth really is the de-siloing of marketing, sales, and product. And de-siloing means teams, data, and focus needs to be across all 3 in your business. How do you generate attention? How do you get money into the door with sales? How do you deliver on your value? All of that needs to be connected, because sometimes a lot of times your team will want to stay in its little box, and staying in its little box will cause them to be depressed. Because depression is nothing but limiting everything outside and staying in a narrow lane, whether it's like a narrow lane of time where they can only think 1 week at a time or 1 day at a time, or a narrow lane of space where they're like, I can only focus on this and not that. That's depression. You want to get them out of that. Okay, so there's a big emotional component to this that most people do not realize. But if you're watching this video, this is probably making sense to you, because you probably noticed these things as a founder or operator, as probably a hyper successful person or a future hyper successful person. And so it's really important to have systems and structure to operate growth within your business to get to 8 figures. Okay? It's incredibly important to make sure you have this process, because it prevents impulses, you and your team. Why is that important? One great thing that I heard about Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, they run Berkshire Hathaway, one of the biggest holding companies of a bunch of different companies. I think it's like hundreds of billions now. what they do is they completely abstract a business. They are able to look at a business from spreadsheets, and they'll know if the business will do well or not without having to talk to anyone on the team. Getting that is a superpower. And so what I've linked below is an exec report, so you can also abstract your business. In that exec report, it's the usual financial stuff. Look at your month-end close, look at your revenue, look at your cost of goods sold, look at your cost of revenue, sales, marketing expenses, your operational expenses, etc. Make sure it's according to budget, the usual stuff that you may or may not do, but you should do. You probably realized that you're going to do. But on top of that, there's a couple different things in there. Marketing, sales, and product, projects versus processes. Most people run their business with a bunch of projects, a bunch of ideas. They don't go into repeatable processes, which are your systems, which are guaranteed to generate revenue. And so a lot of what you need to do in a business, after you analyze the numbers and know that things are, operating at a certain level, is understand what is a project versus what is a process. And you must sift the two. You can grow your business reliably, consistently past the 10 million or higher mark when you have lots of processes, things that consistently generate revenue. If you have lots of projects, you're going to feel like you're not sure if things are going to work because you don't know if it's going to consistently generate revenue. So line them up and look at them. And any projects that are not generating you consistent revenue, you got to ask yourself the question: is this going to generate revenue for you in the future? If not, get rid of it. If it is, and it's worth enough money for you to spend more time on it, like some projects take years before they work. Outbound, for example, can take a year before it works. But if you fix it, you can generate, millions, tens of millions of dollars, which is tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of valuation. And so a lot of times it's worth it. But you have to really assess what I have to get rid of, what do I not have to get rid of. And the things you got to get rid of, make the decision to get rid of it. Don't let it kind of stay there. Don't let this be that. Make the decision, get rid of it, move forward, and drive towards your vision and your goal. Okay, so now that you have that, score your projects. The Rice scoring project method is one of the best methods out there. It's got Intercom to $500 million a year in annual recurring revenue. And it's a really simple system. I'll link it below. You're essentially measuring reach, impact, effort, and confidence of whether a project will work or not. It'll give you a composite score to measure how much you should focus on it. And this will just completely simplify a lot because you only have so much executive function in your brain. If you can externalize it and give it to your team, now they can make decisions without you in the room. Now you don't have to train them or manage them anymore. Now you can operate, which is where we want to go. We want to keep you on the operational side of business. Okay, with these three, now you have a way to get over vehicle objections, internal objections, external objections, and you can not just build a good environment, but you can operate your business and operationalize your business. So that way you can get to $10 million consistent. I want you to be able to get there too. And so drop a comment below. What are you going to do to improve your focus so that way you get to your vision in a relentless fashion and serve even more people than you've been serving currently? If you guys want to work with us to do any of this stuff, there should be a link below where you can go ahead and do that. And cheers to your focus. Crush it.